Hello YouTube, this is Neon. Today I am going to be talking about the zombie genre. The zombie genre for me, it's literally my favorite genre. My favorite genre of any movie and my favorite genre of any series. Who don't like The Walking Dead? Let's keep it real. So, I'm going to define what I consider to be the modern day definition of the zombie genre. Some of y'all might not agree, and that's okay if you don't. To me, George Romero's 1968 Night of the Living Dead, well, according to the documentary, that was very... Apparently it was released in the theaters, made a little bit of money, and then went to Hulu, which is where I saw it. He trumped a lot of Hollywood movies. The way they treated people of color, the way they treated women. So my definition is largely based on that paradigm. And this is subjective. I'm not saying y'all gotta accept my definition. This is my definition. To me, the zombie genre, first and foremost, it is about empowered women. It is about empowered people of color. Okay? The African-American male, I'll remember his name, in that when he smacked the girl who had kind of lost her mind, that was the second time in history that an African American hit a white person in a Hollywood major motion picture. This was low budget, but let's face it, this was a major motion picture in that it was a huge, huge success. Everybody and their mama saw Night of the Living Dead 1968. And so I say it is about empowered people of color or empowered African Americans because the lead actor was African American male. He made it to the end of a horror flick. Mind you, for me, I consider the zombie genre to be its own genre. I don't consider it to be a horror subgenre. I consider it to be a meshing of sci-fi and horror, and I really, personally, I consider it its own genre. But to me, the zombie genre is high and lofty. And I'm going to go into some other of the minutiae detail as to why I love it. It's not just because it's empowered people of color and about empowered women, although that's certainly the icing on the cake. And then some. Many Hollywood horror flicks, and we as African Americans, we as people of color, we don't like that. Like, an African American will be in a horror flick and then they're the first person killed and boom, that's it. There are no more people of color. That tells us that we're not valued, we're not wanted in their flick. If their flick has 10, 20, 30 victims, Hollywood, many people in Hollywood who don't value African Americans, who maybe don't see us as their equal, and probably do not want us in their films, many of these films, in my opinion, they're not able to justify having 10, 20, 30 victims, and there's no people of color. So they'll have one, they'll throw them in there, they'll be the first one killed, and then there's no more African Americans in their pick. Película is picture in Spanish, in the movie. I study a lot of Spanish, so forgive me that a little bit of Spanish don't snuck out of my mouth. So George Romero trumped that, and many of the horror flick genre since 1968, many horror flicks have done the same thing over and over. Either they have no people of color, no diversity, no African Americans, or they have one and the first person killed off. The zombie genre has not done that. There are exceptions. There's Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies. That was, many people will love to jump and tell me, well, that took place in the 1700s Britain. There were hardly no people of color in Britain at that time. Very, very very self-satisfied when I get those kinds of responses, people who make those kinds of responses. But look at all the movies that Hollywood has cast in Africa, and the only African Americans you see are like extras, or there's no principals there either. So I really don't want to hear about what was cast in a place where there were no African Americans, because when it's cast in places where there's basically no Europeans, all of the stars are basically not people of color anyway. I don't want to hear that. However, I give Pride, Prejudice, and Zombie credit. It was a major production. It sort of showed the scope of what a zombie movie could do, that it could be big budget and incredible. It did have lots of empowered women. No women of color. And again, I already know the very self-satisfied responses. I'm going to get to that from people who probably do not value African Americans or people of color, and probably don't want to see us in their movies anyway. George Romero trumped that. His future zombie movies, and many zombie movies, Dawn of the Dead. I don't remember all the names of those zombie movies, but there's many of them where an African American, people of color, women, they're the last ones to survive. So empowered women, empowered people of color, to me, it's a beautiful thing. And there have been exceptions that I don't like. I'm a social justice warrior, and I've been criticized. I've been called that an SJW, like it's a bad thing. And that for me to look for equal rights in pictures, you're an SJW and you're looking in all the wrong places. Hollywood is a massive private sector industry. We, as people of color, we need access to these jobs so that we can have a nice living. So yes, I do look for social justice in Hollywood movies. Where was I going with this? I was going somewhere with this. Other reasons why I love zombie flicks. I wasn't really raised in the church. We were sent to church from time to time for brief periods. Growing up in such a dysfunctional family, I adopted sort of the most rigid, right-wing religious philosophy for my life. And felt like, how can I justify watching a horror flick? That's not alright. I'm watching people getting killed on TV, and I'm liking it. It's fascinating. It was never inspiring. It wasn't like, oh, I want to do this. But it's fun to watch horror flicks and get afraid. However, with zombie flicks, they dead already. I ain't gotta feel guilty. The people who's getting killed is dead already. So I didn't have a problem with it. So that was whether you want to call it a horror subgenre or its own genre, I consider it its own genre, obviously. I'm being redundant. I could enjoy that and not feel guilty. Personally, I don't like seeing women raped and tortured in movies. I really don't. However, I acknowledge that Hollywood, they have a right. They have a right to make whatever movies they want to make, right? And put a rate into it. My only issue is that I personally rarely see men tortured, sadistically raped. So women are treated one way in a lot of Hollywood flicks, but then men are not. The zombie genre, that's not the case. The zombie genre is one of the few genres where I routinely see women physically kill men. That is an empowered woman. When I talk about depictions of empowered women, I'm not necessarily saying the heroes, women heroes. They can be the women bad guys. But I'm talking about women who are in charge, who know what they want to do, and depict every... See, right here and right here, you can't see. So I got to do it small. I want women depicted to reflect the whole spectrum of humanity. So that's what I mean, a more broad definition of empowered women or empowered people of color or empowered characters, period. So you'll see women, zombies, physically kill men. You'll see women, humans, physically kill male zombies. So because the genre for some reason typically tries to give a sound explanation for the existence of zombies. And there's so many different life forms that nearly bridge the gap and almost make the potential of something dying, coming back, and then trying to cannibalize its own species possible. The different movies and different series, they always try to come up with that logical explanation. Why am I saying that right now? I don't really know why I'm saying that right now, but it's fascinating. So I like that as well, because it's one of the genres where I routinely see women physically kill men, physically attack men. They're not using a gun, they're not using poison, they're using their bare hands. I don't want to give this away. For me, Pretty Dead is an example of that, where this woman, she slowly turns into a zombie. I don't want to give too much away, but at least one of her victims is a male, and the way she kills them, it's brutal, it's empowered. In this case, it's on the negative end of the spectrum, but it's really amazing. So I love the genre. I watch every genre. I watch every genre that I can see. I watch every zombie flick that I can see. I've seen them in Europe. Europe, they make some intense zombie flicks. Asia, they make some intense zombie flicks. Great. I mean, they understand the genre. I tend to like the post-apocalyptic more than anything, versus like there's zombie musicals, there's zombie comedies, there's all these different subgenres within there's slow turning zombie movies. There's even zombie movies that really don't have zombies in them. I was like, y'all better throw some zombies in there, because I'm not gonna watch your picture. Where's the zombies? It could be about how people are living in the safe zones. I don't tend to watch those. So very, very, very pleased with the zombie genre. I love the genre. I'm done twerking. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, share, comment, commercials, recommend my video. Do one or more of those things. Thank you. Best wishes.